everyone, this is Greyshot17 bringing you another review of one of, and probably the last anime from Amazon that I'm going to be checking out, at least from the previous year, and then we'll finally get on 2018 reviews for TV shows, stuff like that going on. Anyway, one thing I want to review is, and the thing I need to talk about is Land of the Lustruous. Now, this show has gotten a lot of critical praise, and to be honest, I can see why. This show is beautiful. It's a 3D animated anime, and a lot of 3D, especially for shows, tend to not look all that great. Some anime shows can, but some of them just look stiff and rugged, and they're still developing their 3D animation techniques. We're going to be talking about, movie-wise, Godzilla Monster Planet, and that kind of falls in a similar scope. This is a TV series that looks far and away superior to most 3D on the market, if not all of it. There are 3D elements in certain shows that I would kind of argue looks as good, if not better. But that being said, in general, this show looks incredible. But like I said, I'll explain why in a few seconds. But yeah, first off, animation 3D looks great for the most part. They actually do a lot of really cool techniques to kind of get close in the action, similar to what Ruby does, where they have a 3D landscape and they fully utilize it, which a lot of shows typically are like, 3D, that's cool! Let's just do same generic cinematography that we can use in any other show. Where this show, they go far and beyond. They have some really long shot battle sequences which either look great or look a little off. There are moments where there's a lot of movement going on. It's hard to exactly see what's going on. Maybe it's just me, but I didn't find that all that appealing. But there are other moments where it's just like very claustrophobic and you're just trying to fight and there's something going on and it looks really good. Now, what are they fighting? So the Land of the Lustruous is a group of people, and again, the reason why I focus on the animation is because each of these people are literally a different type of material. So you have gold, you have silver, again, those are generic. Then you, of course, you have the main character who's phospholite. You have like diamond and different types of diamond. You have ruby, sapphire, like those types of crystal people. And essentially they look like normal people, except let's say when they break or when you kind of hit that piece of their body part, a part of them breaks off. And this does one of two things. First off, they can easily put it back on and they can reattach themselves. It's with this weird microorganism that kind of works with their material. So let's say they break off a finger, they can easily put it back on. Now, of course, you need a very similar material, because again, it just needs to go with that same body. And the material that breaks off, once it breaks off from the main body, that's also memories lost. So again, if you lose your head, yeah, you're going to be having some issues controlling your body and you're pretty much done for. And it's also a cool, unique idea because each of these materials are different hard scales. So you have really weak people, or they're pretty much all basically females, except for the one grand sensei master who's a male. I believe he's a male. But again, that's from his voice acting and whatnot and his bald head. But yeah, so he essentially helps and protects these crystal women, which, and again, each of them different abilities, different types of reasonings for being around. Phospholite is trying to figure out that reason while helping out a friend. Which, I don't want to go into too much spoilers, but it's basically her trying to figure out what she wants to do and help others, because she made a promise with someone and she wants to make sure she fulfills that promise, even in her own unique way. And it's kind of her journey. And she and the other again, women or crystal women, along with the sensei, are battling lunarians. It sounds weird. Well, it's these like floating people that look coming on a cloud that have like weapons from like medieval China-esque. I would consider their design similar to like the clay figures and whatnot, or like the stone figures you saw in Buried or Dug Up, like that type of army. The terracotta army, I believe it was called. But anyway, like that all is basically what comes out of this cloud, along with a large one, and they fire arrows trying to break up these crystal women. And once they do, the jewel people also like are broken up pieces. They go down, pick up the pieces, and hightail it out of there. They're like little hints to what's going on, but my biggest issue is, while Phospholite's story and her journey through the 12 episodes is interesting, and she does go through a transformation, that doesn't necessarily mean I like her character. A lot of stuff happens with her, and she goes from a kind of like a ditzy type character into more like a stern badass, if I may. Like, the kind of is very different from how she once started. So there is a definite progression and development with her character. The problem I find is the fact, like, when she meets up with Cinnabar, or she meets up with, who is it? Diamond or Bolt. Like, all these different types of characters, or Artisilite, I'm hopefully I'm getting the right, they rub off on her in a way, but it's not always in the most unique or interesting way. There's also a lot of plot holes. Like, for example, this thing, again, being very generic, people think is her. And then eventually it's realized it's not. But then how did it know about her? It's this weird back and forth. Also, it's weird how they kind of, they're like, oh, we have no idea where she is. But literally a moment before, they noticed something that was her. So once again, it's kind of this weird mishmash, and that's more in the beginning. I would say the beginning is weaker than the ending, but if we continue on, but yeah, it's just her meeting up with another crystal girl, them kind of having a few words, and then going off and her doing her own thing, and they rub off on her in some ways, but it doesn't exactly feel, at least in my opinion, it didn't always connect. The music is also pretty good, but it highlights some of the more action sequences, but this series isn't a ton of action. I would say it has great action moments, but I wouldn't consider it an action series. And especially because, like, the major battle, like the large epic battle that you think is going and leading to episode 12 happens sooner, and then it kind of just, episode 11 and episode 12 are more character development. But the problem is just, like, either do something with it or don't. And Made in Abyss is kind of a similar way, where it looks this cute world and then eventually gets darker and darker as it progresses. But with Made in Abyss, it does a far better job at not only demonstrating how dark this world can be, but kind of going with and, like, explaining this world to where, yes, it leaves itself on a cliffhanger, but it leaves itself on a cliffhanger in a note which I know the journey will progress, and I can still be, like, amazed by not only how this story is, but also excited to where it's going. Land of the Lustruous, I don't care. And that's probably the saddest thing about this show. I don't care where it's going, because they did such a poor ending to it, where I'm like, okay, if this is how you're going to go, that's fine. It's just not interesting. Because literally the whole ending is something where I'm like, no one else cares about this, so why should I? And Phosphorite cares about this reason, but once again, everyone else hears the exact same information she does, but no one bats an eye. And for me, that's probably the more curious thing, is this new information found out, and everyone else is kind of just there, and no one really does anything. Even the most, like, the ones that, again, study or do research, none of them do that. And it's the most concerning thing I have. Again, they ended on a very annoying cliffhanger, because it's just like, doesn't really matter if it goes one way or the other. I don't think it's going to go negative, but it could. But that said, I just don't care. And this world, while beautiful, the problem is that it's stuck on an island. That's a whole thing. This whole place is an island. And while it does go through different seasons, and it does have they do go into different areas of the island to kind of make it a little bit more unique, it's still an island. So it's kind of just like an open plain or near the sea. Actually, a lot of it's near the coastline, because again, it's on an island. There's sequences inside, like, their main, like, structure that they all live in. Stuff like that. And once again, it's not a terrible show by any stretch of the imagination. But also, I'm just like, I was kind of looking for more visual flair, and they kind of did that with the characters, but I was hoping more so in the environment as well. And maybe I was looking for too much. And also, they kind of keep hinting at these Lunarians and these other things in this world. And unlike Made in Abyss, which I was also kind of curious about how things would progress, and I didn't get all the answers in that show. But that being said, it gave me enough answers, and it gave me enough good character development and story from it. I'm like, okay, Phosphorite herself is fine, but then on the flip side, if Reg and Ryuk were the only... Oh, no, not Ryuk. Reg And no, the two main leads. If those were the only two leads and it kind of progressed, okay, I'd have issue. That's fine. But then you add in Nanachi, and you add in Midi, and you add in all these other characters. Again, the mother character, all these others from Made in Abyss. And then what I think of here, you have a sensei who keeps going back and forth about caring for this girl, but then not caring about others. You have just a lot of wish-washy kind of moments with each of these characters. And some of them got a little more development, but then some of them were just like, we're here because we fill this stereotype, and not much development. And I was hoping for more of that. Which is why I'm probably going to rate this a little bit lower than a lot of others who just love this show. And I completely get why people can be entranced by this show. But for me, I see a lot more of the flaws in the material than I guess others would. So actually, in my opinion, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. That may, once again, that's probably going to be lower than the general anime consensus, similar to how I rated Fate Apocrypha. But I'm being honest, the main character was interesting, the rest of the world was not. And when the ending happened, I was kind of like, cool, the character developed, but once again, we are no closer to finding out any answers. And while she may be questioning things, she has no evidence to back up because she herself doesn't have the evidence. So it's just great. And even when they give her the opportunity to, the show's like, nope, we have to pull that away. We can't show that. And that's probably my biggest angry moment. I'm like, you had it. You literally had a character whose main purpose is just being isolationist, and then they just come in. And once again, that kind of just ticked me off. So yeah, 6 out of 10 is where I stand on this show because it's visually gorgeous, has a great main lead, but the other characters I couldn't stand or care for. And it kind of fell apart for me. And again, I know it's going to be very different from a lot of other people who love this show. But that's just my feeling on it. Anyway, spoilers. The sensei character literally says he knows the Lunarians and knows this creature, but then everyone else is like, okay, cool. I guess he didn't say that, even though he physically said it in front of the entire group. And it's like, all right, cool. And now they have a Lunarian, an evil that's been around for thousands. This show takes place over thousands of years, by the way. That's another thing. So as much as I'm like, okay, thousands of years, they give her a task to essentially look around and just study the area. I'm like, you've been here for thousands of years. I feel like this is something probably someone did on an afternoon. Like, there's not much on the island you can really study, and I feel like someone would have probably studied everything. So that whole, assignment they give Phosphite is kind of just like, what are you doing? Once again, a lot of the material they make and stuff like that, I'm like, where are you getting this stuff from? Because I didn't really get that. A few other things just kind of going around. They show a place where the jewelry women are born, and it looks interesting, and I kind of like how they did show that, but I kind of wish they gave a little bit more, because then all right, that's fine. If that's where they came from, where did he come from? And once again, they're very quiet about the sensei character, about kind of going, he cares for them, but he's definitely hiding in something. And the fact that they never address it or care about it was made me be like, okay, why should I? And then a few other pointers about this show would also be the fact of the Cinnabar character. Well, and I like her dynamic of, again, how she's just there hoping one day she's taken because she doesn't care about her life anymore. She's looking for anything. Because again, these people live for thousands of years, as long as they're not taken. So yeah. And then also, speaking about being taken, Phosphite, well, her motive is trying to fight, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. She literally has battle after battle after battle after battle, and I became furious that other jewelry women who are competent at fighting, who are great at fighting, are stuck with her because Sensei's like, you're gonna fight. All right, whatever. That's cool. Awesome. Well, even when she fights, she sucks. And it's like, they don't give her anyone, in my situation, this would be like literally having a cop on his first day just go out without any backup. And I'm being completely honest. Like, that is just like, you have fun, good luck. And I know that sometimes can work, but usually you have someone to work with. You have an extra. So I feel like her shadowing a team, because again, it's more of this team dynamic, because they always go in pairs to fight these Lunarians if they show up in shifts, because Lunarians don't always show up, but sometimes they do, and of course they want a tag team, two of them, to fight. Sensei, the main guy just literally just one-shots them, but still the other women can hold their own against them or take them out if they're really good or really hardened, like a Diamond character or a Bork character. But anyway, or them, yeah. But my problem was just like literally multiple times she would get in these battles or watch battles, and she would either break herself or other people would be taken. And I'm just like, oh my god, enough. Just enough. And I know circumstances be it, but my god, stop fight. And eventually it does turn, and it's a hard recollection for her. And then like this person, which we only saw one episode with, has like a poignant moment. It would have been better if this was another person she was with kind of on the side that she'd eventually teamed up with, because we get this person that's once, and she's very lonely, so it's like, I guess, quick fast friends, but it's like one episode that we get to care, and the next episode gone. And I don't know, I just didn't feel it. I was actually kind of mad, not at the person being removed. Also, the way they actually kill this character, they made it essentially jewelry. So there's one scene where they literally, like, someone has a face, and you can actually see their face kind of off. But then when the person is broken, an eyeball comes out, and all this other stuff. I'm like, where'd this come from? Because they don't have organs, yet you're visibly showing them have, like, organs. I'm like, that doesn't make sense, especially for a character that's made out of ice. You figure, or like an ice kind of material, you figure it just wouldn't work. Yeah, so it's once again just this weird kind of back and forth. And as much as the show visually appealed to me, and just like the character was interesting, it then would take another step back and just slam it in your face, be like, oh, here's a stupid move. I'm like, god damn it. Look, I know they're supposed to make stupid moves. That's fine. And they have to give justification. But the fact that this sensei character, which once again is my biggest gripe, constantly is like, hold on, Phosphite, you're doing great. You know, you go with these people. Eventually, I'm like, with the girls, like, no, this is mine. Do you not care about me? Why are you having this girl with me if every single time she goes out, every single time, she literally lets the other person get captured or killed? And that was my biggest gripe, is the fact that this happens again and again and again in this show. And the main character, the sensei character, is like, hold on, let her go. And then eventually it's like, well, sensei's bad. And I'm like, oh, really? Couldn't tell. But Phosphite's like, man, maybe I should, maybe sensei's the evil one. I'm like, I don't mind if sensei's evil one, but then why is he literally forcing her to go through this and just keep going and keep fighting? And if eventually she's changing, that's fine, that's cool. But literally, it's this back and forth, and I don't exactly like that. I like her character progression about her changing and realizing that and showing how much she had to physically change in order to be the warrior she wanted to be. But all in all, I got so sick and tired of this show with its constant like back and forth, with how they wanted to show how powerful she was to how weak she was, and how much they either cared or didn't care about the rest of the team or any of the girls. So that's my biggest gripe. And a lot of people are going to look at that differently. A lot of people say, well, she's training, she's working. At my point, like, you don't care about any, like, you are training her for something, and no one else is caring or putting two and two together that either Phosphite is something important that will eventually come down the line, or Sensei is doing something that is kind of like a favoritism. And I would appreciate if they went into more of that, because again, it's just there that happens in one episode and you're like, wait, where'd this come from? It's like it's just a random thing that occurs. I'm like, this is getting really weird. Like, why is he now the bad guy? Even though it's like he's made interesting, weird choices, how is he now the bad guy in your eyes when he's only supported you? And now all these girls who used to hate on you, you now like. It's stuff like that where just it frustrated me with this show. I still watch it to conclusion, and the conclusion left me like, oh, is she gonna go? Is she gonna be beaten by the sensei? Was she called in a meeting? Does the sensei know what's gonna happen? It's like, I don't care. I don't care. And I know this has way more material to keep going, but like I said, I don't care. In any case, that's why I give it a 6. Even though I personally didn't like it, I could still see the greatness in this show to kind of push it up a little bit more. But that being said, I'm just like, yeah, that's just my opinion. I just don't feel like this show is, especially after seeing Crunchyroll's Anime of the Year after finishing the show. I'm like, I don't think this deserves to be Anime of the Year. This deserves to be Anime of the Year, probably equal to Recreators, and that show has lots of faults. But that being, and there's plenty of shows that would probably be a better one, in my opinion, even though I enjoyed Recreators more. But yeah, that's going to be it. I want to thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. It's been Greyshot17, and I'll see you all next time. Hey guys, and before I go, I want to give a special shout out once again to Joey, Ace, Sean, Sejones, Leonard, Lou, Nick, Levings, and Tim. Thank you all for your awesome support, and I'll see you guys next time.